It's time to integrate a database and store our forum's data. Throughout the master class, we will use Firebase to cover our back-end needs. Firebase is a Google Cloud solution that covers an array of needs such as hosting, authentication, server functions, file storage, databases, and more. We'll be using the Firestore database to persist our forum data. Firestore is a NoSQL document database that lets you easily store, sync, and query data for mobile or web apps. We will also be using Firebase authentication, which makes it really easy for users to register and log in, while it also supports multiple providers out of the box, like Gmail, GitHub, Twitter, and Facebook. Later on, we will create cloud functions to calculate forum statistics and other cool stuff. When users are able to set their avatars, we will take advantage of cloud storage that is easy to use and fairly cheap. Lastly, we will see how we can make our forum public to the world by deploying it to the Firebase hosting. If that sounds like a lot, don't worry. Right now, we're going to be focusing on the Firestore database and persisting our forum data. If you've never used Firebase or Firestore before, no worries. We're going to take things slow, and I'll show you everything you need to know to get it working with our forum. If it would make you a little more comfortable knowing more about the Firestore before jumping in with me and using it in our forum, feel free to check out the Quick Start Guide in the official Firestore docs provided in the description below. Okay, I'm excited to get started with Firebase. Let's visit https://console.firebase.google.com to open up the Firebase console. Alternatively, you can find a link to the console in the description below. Alright, now click Create Project. I'll call it View School Forum. Accept the Firebase terms, and then click Continue. We don't need any analytics, so let's just toggle that off for now. And click Create Project. It might take just a few moments for the project to be created. After the project is finished being created, click Continue. Nice! Now we've got a dedicated project for our forum app set up in Firebase. It's telling us we can get started by adding Firebase to your app. Let's do that. We'll choose Web. Let's name the application View School Forum, just like the project. And we'll leave Firebase hosting unchecked at this time. Click Register App. Now we're presented with some code that we can add to our project in order to install Firebase. The option presented here for installation is linking to the JavaScript dependencies via a CDN URL in a script tag. That would work fine, but I prefer handling JavaScript dependencies with npm, so let's install Firebase via the terminal. I'll use the built-in terminal that comes with VS Code. Here you need to type npm install --save Firebase. Once it's installed, we have to connect our application with the Firebase project using the code snippet we see in the docs. We need to place this snippet somewhere that will always run and only run once. This sounds a lot like our main.js file that bootstraps our application. So, here in main.js, we import the Firebase module and then we'll initialize it. Make sure to provide your own values for each of the properties in the config object. Also, I'm fond of storing configuration data like this in dedicated config files. It's great for organization, and you never know when you might need access to the configuration variables elsewhere. Let's do that real quick. We'll create a new folder called config, and inside of it we'll create a new file called firebase.js. Inside of firebase.js, let's paste our configuration object. We'll export this config using the CommonJS module export syntax. This will be just in case we end up having to run some sort of node script that needs access to these variables without running it through Webpack. Finally, let's import the configuration into main.js and use it. If we check the browser, we don't see any differences, but we also don't get any errors in the console, which is a good thing. In the next lesson, we will set up the Firestore database and connect it to our application.